Welcome back, guys, to Phoenix Wright, Spirit of Justice, where our case continues at this point with a new witness having been presented. Mr. A'nohn Ihmus TBD, to be determined, has now been determined to have been on the inner sanctum, according to testimony, etc. The only place he could have seen the crime as an eyewitness. Well, that said, I guess we've got to somehow place him there properly. Even though we know, for example, he couldn't have seen it from the lower peak of Mount Pony Pony. Lower Pony Pony. Yes, I'll double up my words. As Niuta says, is that not right to our last statement? Right. I wasn't at the inner sanctum. No, sir. No how. Yeah, really. At least I'm pretty sure I wasn't. Hold it. He's got no memory. Then, what about those silhouettes you claim to have seen? I'm starting to think I've been imagining things. What? This is insane. I knew we couldn't trust that lawyer. He's trying to frame the witness. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. I don't know. Peace, I'd say. This is impossible. Unless I can show how he got to the inner sanctum. It just looks like I'm trying to slander Mr. Ihmus. I believe in you, Nick. Rah, sis boomba. Fight, Phoenix Wright. Just look at the accused. Has she no shame? What's your problem, lady? Phoenix Wright is very trustworthy, I'll have you know. She's got some nerve for a criminal. I bet that lawyer poisoned her mind. Oh yeah, it was me. Please, Maya, you're only making it worse. I appreciate the vote of confidence, but it's probably best to keep it to yourself for now. I would advise the defense to think carefully before making any such small, sudden outbursts. Yes, Your Majesty. If I wasn't the bad guy before, I definitely am now. Now, Mr. Ihmus, I would like you to think back carefully before you testify next about where you were that night. So we start with a farce, and we continue on with another testimony. What's up next? I wasn't at the inner sanctum. Well, where were you then? I was never at the inner sanctum, I tell ya. That much I'm sure of, even with the fuzzy memory. Besides, it would have been impossible to get there in the first place. Boy, you lawyers sure are scary. I guess it might have been impossible for him to get to the inner sanctum like he claims, but... Now, will you desist in trying to frame this innocent witness? Yeah! I'd like to see you explain how he got up there! Hang glider. Something like that, maybe? I don't know. Mr. Wright, is it not time to end these cross-examinations? A moment of desperation leads to 100 million years of torment. It means that for each moment a sinner spends struggling to deny their sins, 100 million years of torment are added to their time in hell. Khura'ism is the strictest religion ever. Well, my brain just fired when I said hang glider. And just so you know, you've already accrued 200 million extra years. 200 million? Plus the 500 million years to start with, are 700 million years of torment. Okay. Sure, what's another 200 million, give or take? Yeah. Well, it's a big deal to me. I can't keep saying that the witness was there at the inner sanctum. If I can't prove it, that is. The problem is, how am I going to do that? Well, all we have at our disposal is to press. I wasn't at the inner sanctum, were you really not? I was never at the inner sanctum, I tell ya. Are you sure you weren't there? All I'm sure of is that you're deeply skeptical. Hey, Mr. Prosecutor, are all lawyers always like this? Most certainly. They always try to pin crimes on innocent witnesses without any proof whatsoever. They are no better than bacteria or viruses. Yikes! You mean he's contagious? He's gonna give me lawyeritis! Okay, this is getting ridiculous. Phew, that was a close one. He almost put me there at the scene of the crime when I wasn't even there. That much I'm sure of, even with the fuzzy memory. Hold it! You just said your memory was fuzzy. I sure did. What's the big deal? I'll tell you what. Your testimony isn't very credible if your memory of the events is fuzzy. Oh, no worries there. My memory may be fuzzy, but I'm very clear on one thing. Here we go again. If you ask me whether or not I remember what I did that night, I'd say I do. In short, you are confident that your testimony is true. Is that correct, Mr. Ihmus? Exactly. Guess you don't get to be a judge for nothing. So in closing, I can clearly say that I was totally not there. Yeah. I mean, I totally didn't do the murder, and I know that to be true. Does that count as completely true testimony too? Besides, it would have been impossible to get there in the first place.
Hold it!
I wonder if it really was impossible for you to get to the inner sanctum. If you have something to say, just say it. Couldn't there have been another way to get there? A way that wouldn't attract attention? No, there isn't. Which means there is. Perhaps the defense would share its theory with us. I don't even have a wild guess, let alone a theory, though. I do. Time to reach into my bag of bluffs. To reach the inner sanctum without attracting any attention means you didn't climb up the cliff, because that would be crazy. Well, you know, surprisingly not as crazy as the one I'm gonna pick. He came from the plaza, would of course been seen. He fell from the sky. Maybe you fell from the sky. The lawyer thinks he's a comedian now. I was wondering what crazy theory you would propose next. Well, defense, let's hear it. Mr. Ihmus could have, parachuted down, which is the brain cells were fired when I said hang glided. Because then I remembered something that was on the scene, in the place where he witnessed things. We already know the weather was clear and there was no wind to speak of. Perfect weather for skydiving, I say. Now that you have been backed into a corner, your delusions grow ever more delusional. The inner sanctum is on a tiny ledge upon a sheer cliff over 2,000 meters tall. One misstep and a skydiver would soon find themselves in the Twilight Realm. Yeah, I don't care how still the wind was. Even I couldn't have made that jump. Wait, what's this building on top of the Sacred Mountain, which we finally get to see? That is Royal Penitentiary number 4. Oh right, Princess Raifa mentioned there was a prison up there. How do you get your prisoners up there anyway? By helicopter, but only with authorization from the Minister of Justice. He is the only one who can approve flights that pass over the inner sanctum. A mountain range poster has been updated in the court record. A poster and a photograph of the entire inner sanctum and Mount Podipony area. Might I also add defense? That no parachute or any other equipment necessary for skydiving had been found. Are you saying I flew down there by flapping my arm? I may be an incredible dude, but even I'm not capable of that. Well, please add that statement to your testimony, Mr. Ihmus. It's not like I can fly through the air either. I think you can. Because you might not have a technical proper parachute, but maybe something you tried to make into one or something? I don't know. That sounds like it could be true.
Objection!
Oh yeah. Mr. Ihmus is right. He couldn't have skydived down there without any gear. Well now, finally come around, have you? Now you see that I couldn't have possibly been there at the inner sanctum. Right. If you didn't have any gear, that is. What on earth are you talking about? That reaction is a dead giveaway that I'm on the right track. Take a look at this piece of evidence. Those are prayer flags, are they not? Yes, but they have been sewn together to create one big banner. A banner that could also function like a parachute. Polkunka! The people of Khura'in are so used to seeing prayer flags that the police didn't even think twice about these flags during their investigation. No, this cannot be! The witness landed at the inner sanctum by using these prayer flags as a parachute. Is that not right, Mr. Ihmus? There's no way out! I'm surrounded! Mr. Ihmus? All this talk's jogged my memory. I guess I was there at the inner sanctum after all. As I suspected, there were 3 people there that night. You did it, Nick! You weren't wrong after all. Thanks? Mr. Ihmus, you were the one disguised as Lady Kee'ra that night, weren't you? What? No way! No how! It's like this. Oh yeah! I was only there at the inner sanctum by accident. By accident? Exactly. And that thing's not a parachute. It's a homemade paraglider. Oh, so I really wasn't that far off when I think about the hang glider thing. Oh my goodness. I was closer than I thought I'd be. A paraglider? Are you telling me you could fly using that patch of metal material? It may not look like much, but it's as sturdy as can be. I rode the wind like an eagle, going higher and higher from my earthly launching point. But then something happened that forced me to land the inner sanctum. So you just happened to land there? You expect me to believe that? Now, please calm yourself, Mr. Wright. However, the fact that the witness was at the inner sanctum is crucial testimony indeed. And it certainly warrants further explanation, or explication even. Therefore, let's continue with more testimony. Explanation's fine as well. More testimony? And you're saying you flew up to it and no one noticed? Why I was at the inner sanctum. That evening I was during a trek for the night sky on my homemade paraglider. Yeah, I just make a paragliders for a living. Yeah, it's fine. But just as that pony was drawing near, something terrible happened. An accident forced me to make an emergency landing at the inner sanctum. As I landed, I bowed my head, causing me to lose my memory. So you see, I ended up at the inner sanctum purely by accident. Oh wow, he remembers banging his head though. Mr. Ihmus, you failed to mention any of this during your pre-trial questioning. Can't be helped. I mean, I'm just remembering it now. Continue such slipshod testimony and you will be cast into the hell of hangnails, where you shall have hangnails grown and ripped out for 800 million years. Hoo-ha! I think I'll pass on that. Looks like that court prosecutor Sam Maddy off guard. This is my chance to rip his case to shreds. Another cross-examination. We're busting through them fast. I'd say if anything, it was the statement in the middle that'll be the interesting point, the landing. But let's press. From that evening, I was on a trek through the night sky with my homemade paraglider. Is it a hobby? You were enjoying a trek through the night sky with your homemade paraglider? You didn't go to pray? A devout Khura'in like me can pray anywhere, even while flying through the sky. But I wouldn't recommend you try it. You're bound to end up dead. A paraglider? I didn't see anything like that. That's because of the ritual curtain. It blocked your view. You should have seen me, majestically soaring between the mountains. Really? What do you think, Nick? Don't ask me. I was really enjoying that flight. At first, anyway. But just as Mount Pony was drawing near, something terrible happened. Hold it! Something terrible happened? Exactly. And when I say terrible, I mean terrible! What? Was there something unexpected near Mount Pony? What was it again? Wait, you don't remember? Let's just say it was terrible. Thank you. That's helpful. An accident forced me to make an emergency landing at the inner sanctum. Hold it! He's sweating buckets on this one as well. What exactly was this accident you had? Good question. Now, what was it again? Wind? Oh yeah, it was the wind. Didn't they say there was no wind a second ago? And not just any wind, but a sudden gale force wind. Made me lose control. Yeah, okay. The wind was strong enough to make you lose control. Yeah, got that right. Okay then, please add that to your testimony. Gale force winds came out of nowhere, so I made an emergency landing at the sanctum. Right, where's the weather report? Alright, let's look at the details of the paper. There's a lot to this paper than I'd expect. Police are asking the Kingdom's subjects to be on the lookout for a Melon surgeon who escaped from Royal Penitentiary number 4 yesterday. Oh, really? Mail? Above the thing? Weather forecast. The area around the inner sanctum will enjoy calm, clear skies today. The warmer temperature will make for excellent prayer weather. Be warned, however, that we'll see a cold front move in overnight. Calm, clear skies. Gale force winds are not on our prediction, mister. Objection! We have a saying in my country, Mr. Ihmus. One lie begets another. Huh? What's that supposed to mean? It means someone caught lying will lie again in an attempt to conceal their first lie. In other words, this current testimony is just a blatant lie you're telling to cover your tracks. What did you just say? You claim gale force winds caused you to lose control, but this newspaper has the weather report for the day of the murder. It says, the area around the inner sanctum will enjoy calm, clear skies today. Pokaga! Why, I do believe it does say that. One lie begets another. That makes sense, but is it really a saying back home? I've never heard of it. Yeah, I kind of made that one up. For real? Your Majesty, the witness's testimony contains another flaw, one that's even more fatal to his cause. More fatal, you say? The defense will explain himself at once. Mr. Ihmus claims he was flying up around the inner sanctum with his paraglider, but it would have been impossible to get all the way up there without any wind or thermals or anything. Why, yes, I believe you're right. But we know the witness was at the inner sanctum, so... Mr. Ihmus, how did you get there and from where? Without any wind, he couldn't have flown up there from the bottom of the mountain. By process of elimination, the only starting point that makes any sense is... Your Majesty, I believe I have the answer to your question. To reach the inner sanctum, Mr. Ihmus must have launched himself from here. All the way up to penitentiary number 4. Hoo-ha! Are you insane? That's where he came from. If he couldn't have come from below, the only other option is from above. So you see, A'nohn Ihmus came down from the Royal Penitentiary number 4. From there, he could have easily reached the inner sanctum by parachute. And that means he might have also killed the High Priest. What? Mr. Ihmus, were you the third party at the inner sanctum? And the one behind the warning to halt the right that the victim received? Was it you we saw in his final memory? Are you the rebel hunter, Lady Kee'ra? Ah! Hey, Mr. Prosecutor, sir, help me out here! You did it! You finally left him speechless! Oh, come on, Mr. Prosecutor Man! Quiet, you fool. You should use this time to prepare yourself for what is to come. For a fate far worse than hangnail hell awaits you now. Well done, defense. I must concede this point to you. The witness did, in fact, descend to the inner sanctum from Royal Penitentiary number 4. Huh? He didn't even put up a fight this time. That's awfully generous of him. But if you are as perceptive as you seem, then surely you've already figured out the riddle. The riddle of A'nohn Ihmus' true identity. Oh, his true identity? Not sure I know quite yet, but I guess I'll have to answer with something. It would seem I am the only one still in the dark here. Will the defense care to enlighten me? Who is this man we've been calling A'nohn Ihmus? The witness's true identity is... Well, obviously, if I'm going to present something, we don't necessarily 100% know it definitely is, though the likelihood stands to be that. Where are we looking? The most obvious proof of who it's likely to be, if I could actually scroll to it properly, is the wanted poster. A wanted poster describing the escaped prisoner mentions a sizable reward of 3 million damas. That's audible. Well, let's present this, because that's what it's going to want of me. Is this really him? Just give him a bit of a shave. Can we do that? Only now do you realise the truth. Well, please do share with us your belated insight. What's wrong, Nick? Just say it. Because this isn't going to be very helpful to our case. Really? Are you sure? Unfortunately, I've got no other choice. That scruffy beard and shaggy mane completely threw me off. But it's all becoming clear now. The nighttime base jump from the mountaintop prison. A precision landing at the inner sanctum using only a homemade parachute. Only a paratrooper, or more precisely, a former paratrooper could have pulled that off. This witness is Dats Alibal, prison escapee and key member of Dirk's rebel group. What? Aha! The problem with that statement is, of course, why would the rebel hunting Lady Kee'ra be a rebel? The witness is an escaped prisoner! Precisely. The police have been scouring every corner of the city to no avail. Meanwhile, here he was under our noses the entire time. Ah! Didn't think anyone could see through my clever disguise! But the witness's charade is not all that has been shattered. Is it a defense? Boy, do I hate this guy. Please recall the defense's own words. Whoever sent it clearly meant to threaten the High Priest. The letter said, do not perform the rite. But the rite went on as scheduled. I believe that is why the High Priest was murdered. Who do you suppose sent that letter? A person with something to hide. The rebel hunter disguised as Lady Kee'ra herself. He claimed that the real killer was the rebel hunter disguised as Lady Kee'ra. Yeah, and what's your point? What of the witness's true identity? Only a paratrooper, or more precisely, a former paratrooper could have pulled that off. This witness is Dats Alibal, prison escapee, and key member of Dirk's rebel group. Do we need a flashback for something that happened less than a minute ago? Well, it's 2 minutes ago. Oh no! He is a rebel and an escaped prisoner. He could not possibly have been Lady Kee'ra, mortal enemy of the rebels. No! Now, perhaps the witness will enlighten us to the truth. After all, he has yet to refute any of this. Hoo-ha! You got me. I'm the razor-sharp fangs of the defiant dragons. That's Alibal! Is that what that pose is supposed to be? It's more like a crane pose to me. When did you get your memory back? Oh, around the time you guys were talking about there being no wind. But you gotta give me credit for making up all that testimony off the top of my head. Are you prepared to tell us the truth now? Well, it's true I parachuted down to the inner sanctum. But I banged my head on impact and ended up unconscious outside the ritual curtain. In short, all my eyewitness testimony was a big fat lie. A big fat lie! Oh, and by the way, long time no see, Judy. Wait, they know each other? Your Majesty. This filthy rebel belongs in a jail cell. Oh yes, of course. Bailiff, seize him at once. Seems you really have forgotten the will of the dragon, huh, Yudi? But I haven't, and no dogs of the Khura'in regime are gonna lay a hand on me. Alley-oop! What? What? You just legged it? They got armed guards! Deploy all available resources. I want all units placed on high alert. But they have it like everywhere here. We've seen pictures of them at the the accused lobby. What? They've really let him through. The escaped prisoner escaped again. They have automatic weapons! The police force has been placed on high alert. He'll be caught before long. An escaped prisoner who's escaped the law again after giving a ton of false testimony. Talk about a troublemaker. He really pulled a number on all of us. What was the point of all that anyway? Well, I can't help but feel that entire episode was an enormous waste of time. Can you? Your Majesty. Perhaps it was not as great a waste as you might believe. What makes you say that, Prosecutor Sanmari? That Alibal dropped something as he made his escape from these halls. That scrap of paper looks awfully familiar. These appear to be direct orders from Dirk. From Dirk, the rebel leader? Oh, but we only have a small corner of it. Wait, I remember now. Your Majesty, I've seen that scrap of paper before. You have? The scrap of paper That's Alibal dropped is a part of this. In fact, an incredibly accurate part of the bloodstained letter. Torn in a way that will instantly give you function to know that that is that. And this is? I found it at the scene of the crime. It appears to be a copy of the order that Mr. Alibal dropped. If we put the two together, we should be able to read what the order says. How convenient. Oh my! And just what does it say, Mr. Wright? I can't read it. I can't read Khura'inese. Prosecutor Sanmari, if you please. The ignorant lawyer has not bothered to learn our language. Very well then. He's just there for a holiday. I do not understand. Well, what does it say? Using the lamplight as a landmark, he was to parachute down to the inner sanctum. Upon the rite's completion, he was to don Lady Kee'ra's robes and make his escape. What? That is how he was to escape from prison? So if I were to assume that Mr. Alibal was the one who killed the High Priest, then maybe it was because Abbot Ihmis tried to thwart his escape plan. Oh, foul lawyer. I'm afraid that is simply ludicrous. Huh? But I didn't say anything! Did he just read my mind? I know how your putrid mind works. Unfortunately for you, however, now the rebels' escape plan has been revealed, it is clear that Das Alibal is not the High Priest's killer. How can you be so sure? If only you would use that putrid brain of yours every once in a while. Das Alibal's plans could not have worked without the help of a certain individual. What do you mean? I am speaking of Abbot Ihmis, of course. Had Das Alibal simply donned Lady Kee'ra's robes and made his escape alone, he would have been far too conspicuous, but were he by the High Priest's side, the faithful citizens praying in the plaza would have had no cause to suspect anything. It is, therefore, unthinkable that Das Alibal was the High Priest's killer. Ah! So then, you're saying the High Priest was a... Oh, I cannot bear to say it. I'm afraid it is so. He numbered among the rebels who threaten our kingdom. How could this be? The High Priest? A rebel? There must be some kind of mistake. Let it go and move on. Accept the truth. It is the only way. And that goes double for you, defense. Cease your futile battle now. And why should I? Because I will now put the final nail in the coffin of the accused. Now that we have eliminated Das Alibal from our list of suspects, there is only one person that still remains, the accused, Maya Fey. That is bull. Hold it right there. Aren't you forgetting something important? Something important? Please do explain, defense. We can't end this trial without looking into the arrow, the murder weapon. There was definitely a third party there, wasn't there? And plus the fact now that we know that Maya was most likely drugged. Drugged by Abbot Ihmis. And therefore, that's why she doesn't remember anything, because of course the costume she was supposed to be therefore donning was supposed to be used to smuggle out the prisoner. I know we can't just say that out loud, but I still want to say that right now. Please, can we get Maya drug tested? It's the third party, of course. I'm talking about the true identity of the Lady Kee'ra we saw in the seance vision. As we end an episode, right here, right now. It seems always good to cliffhanger things. Will this end our trial? Will this end it for now? We've got to catch that guy again. This looks like we might be going on for a second day. So we'll find out next time on Phoenix Wright, Spirit of Justice, which I hope you'll join me for it then. Bye-bye.